Hello, everyone. In the Tomorrow Leaders class, we are group 2. This is my partner Hong Le, and I'm Li Haoyang. Today is our presentation about the self-leadership, about the interpersonal. First, let me introduce our group mates. There are Huang Le, Li Haoyang, Lu Yiyuan, Darren, Satander, Bao Tianheng, Jing Tao, and Pan Junqi. Now let's start our presentation. First is part A. Do you guys know who is Michael Faraday? If you don't, let me tell you the story. This man on the left is the greatest scientist in the history, and his name is Michael Faraday. He was born in 22 September in 1791 in England. His father was a blacksmith and his mother stayed at home, just do some housework. And he's very poor when he was young, so he has no money to afford the fee of study. His family was Christian. Actually, I don't know what about the Christian means, but he's actually a Christian.
Let me introduce his Faraday's education courses. His education courses can be divided into three parts, basically. First, he went to study in Sunday school. Although he went to Sunday school, he studied at the most of the time. Faraday studied all by himself. Because of his family's poor financial situations, he dropped out of the Sunday school. At the age of 14, he went to the bookstore to errand because of his family's poor financial situations. And he worked very hard, and because of his diligence, the book dealer gave him a chance to be the apprentice. Although his workload was very heavy, but he still spared no efforts to read more and more books, which may contribute to his later study. And then we came into the third part of Faraday's education courses. He attended a lecture given by Sir Hamfield Davy about chemistry. Through then Davy discovered the Faraday's talents in chemistry, and Faraday was offered a job as a lab assistant by Davy, and he began to learn chemistry from that time.
From the second pages, we can know that Michael was very elegant about the chemistry, and his teacher, David, is a famous scientist from the England Royal Institution about Science. But in the end, David was very jealous about Michael's achievement, and he just don't like Michael's personality. So at the end, they broke up the relationship, and Michael has substituted his teacher's position. Now let's talk about the achievements. He discovered the compound chlorine and carbon. As we all know, is the two basic elements in our daily lives. And he invented an early form of the Bunsen burner. You guys learn chemistry and physics or even biology may understand what is Bunsen burner. It's just a type of equipment that must be used to give high power to some chemical element to make some light or heat. And it created the first electromagnetic motor. It is popularly and they use until nowadays. And next is discovered electromagnetic induction. It's a kind of relationship in physics and it can use in every field in the electromagnetism part of physics. And he has this name for the unit of electric capacitances named after him. It's called Faraday. So F is the unit.
Let me introduce the definition of a leader.
You guys know our aim is to talk about the self-leadership of Michael Faraday. So do you know what is self-leadership? This is theory according to Shona Waters, someone with a vision and a path to realizing it. That is called self-leadership. But in extent, self-leadership has a scientific definition that it is the strategies that involves using intrinsic motivation to identify goals. That's a more like critical one. And it can separate it into three parts. The first is behavior-focused strategies. The second is constructive thought patterns. And the third is focusing on natural rewards. But some of you might think that the self-leadership is the same as self-regulation. So someone may think that control your moods and emotion in their lives and even your behaviors can just mean self-leadership. But it's just not the same case as it. And there's a famous saying written by Dr. Pamela Bourler. There is a person with whom you spend more time than any other, a person who has more influence over you, and more ability to interfere with or to support your growth than anyone else. This ever-present companion is your own self. That's very famous about the self-leadership, and it totally like explain what is self-leadership.
According to the definition, a leader is who has the quality that has a vision and the pace to realize his goals. Faraday was born in a poor family, but he has the dreams to change the poor situation, to improve his family's financial situations, and he was interested in scientific fields. So he had a goal to entry the scientific fields, and he not only had goals, he also spared no efforts to realize the dreams. He read more and more books to equip himself with the learning abilities and science knowledge, and he worked hard to obtain the bookseller's love, and he successfully to be the apprentice of of the book dealer. And then when he came across the David, he also seized the chance to be one of his students, and then he began to learn chemistry from that time.
So the definition 2 is according to a famous website, the vocabulary.com, that a leadership is someone who inspires confidence in others and moves them to action. For example, most of our classmates always set goals in the beginning of the semester, and they believe they can achieve that. However, most of them didn't get a good goal or result at the end of the semester. So what causes it? It's just because they have no enough actions. They put no effort into their study or daily lives. So they have no improvement in every field. They just have a dream in the daytime. That is just a joke, I think.
By the second definition, Michael Faraday is also a leader. Faraday was called the father of electrical. His theories had helped many scientists in electrical after him, such as Einstein.
Hello, I'm Jinling Tao. In Part B, I will review one self-management model by Carmelli. In this model, first we should have a firm idea of the goal. This goal can be achieving a high grade while studying, getting a medal at the competition, etc. Second, we should manage ourselves well accordingly. For example, getting up on time every morning, doing exercises every day, etc. By doing these two, we can finally achieve our goals. Most of the time, this model can explain self-management well. Many excellent students often have a certain goal and good self-management. Therefore, they often have good grades. Most soldiers always obey discipline and manage themselves well. In Hengshui High School, a Chinese high school using militarized management methods, students are allowed to obey the discipline all the time and have a fixed daily schedule, which contains their living plans and study plans. They are also taught to have a goal of going to one of China's top universities, which is the motivation for their study. As a result, most students in Hengshui High School can manage their life well and have higher grades than other school students. All of these prove the correctness of Carmelli's model. However, this model also has its limitations. For instance, many university students have escaped from their parents' control, so they have many ambitious goals, such as earning a lot of money in the future, traveling around the world, etc. To achieve this, they plan each day carefully, and it leads to the complexity of their schedules. As a result, their life becomes full of stress. Some of them even become addicted to smartphones or video games. Finally, they do not realize their goals and cannot manage themselves well either. This contradicts Carmelli's model, which believes a firm goal and good management can lead to the goal becoming reality. According to Goldman, Boyatzis, and McKee's model, self-control, transparency, adaptability, achievement, initiative, and optimism are 6 aspects of managing one's own emotions. When people are managing themselves according to their goals but their plans fail, these 6 aspects become important. Among these, adaptability helps people change a kind of method. Achievement helps people insist on keeping. Initiative helps them find new opportunities. And optimism makes them not lose heart. With the help of these, the previous model can reduce some limitations.
So hey guys, my name is Pan Junqi and I will give you the following explanation of this model. However, this model also has its limitation. For instance, many university students escape from their parents' control. They have many ambitious goals such as earning a lot of money, traveling around the world. To achieve this, they plan each day carefully, and it leads to complexity of their schedules. As a result, their life becomes full of stress. Some of them even become addicted to smartphone, video games. Finally, they do not realize their goals and cannot manage themselves. Well, this contradicts Kremlin model, which believes a firm goals and good management can lead to the goal becoming a reality. According to the Gurman, Boetis, and McKee's model, self-control, transparency, adaptability, achievement, initiative, and optimism are 6 aspects of managing one's own emotions. When people are managing themselves according to their goals, but their plans fail, these 6 aspects become important. Among these, adaptability helps people change a kind of method. Achievement helps them insist on keeping. Initiative helps them and have new opportunities. Optimism makes people not lose heart. With the help of these, their previous model can reduce some limitation.
Part C. Self-management, according to Carmelli et al., is the action of taking control of self-understanding and alignment according to one's purpose in life. It is comprised of first having a firm idea of one's own goals, managing oneself accordingly to those goals, and finally achieving those goals. Faraday is known to do all those things. He had a firm idea of his goal, which was entering the Temple of Science. He managed himself accordingly in that he educated himself. And finally, he also achieved his goal in becoming one of the greatest scientists ever. Goals. Faraday's main goal was to enter the Temple of Science and become a scientist. He wanted to become a scientist because he was inspired by a lecture given by Humphrey Davy. Humphrey Davy himself was a famous chemist from Britain, and he was known to give Faraday lectures about chemistry, which ended up inspiring him. Faraday also loved to experiment. Faraday was a really curious person, and he was quoted to say that he was never able to accept a fact without seeing it himself. So in order to see things himself, he would end up experimenting to believe a fact. As he learned more and more, he became more curious, and so he wanted to become a scientist in order to find out more. Management, according to Goldman, Boyatzis, and McKee, is managing one's emotions. Faraday managed himself well, considering his background. He displayed amazing managements of achievement, optimism, and transparency. For achievement, which in this context is striving to improve one's standards, he started delivering newspapers at an early age to help in his family's lack of money. He also read books while being apprenticed because he wasn't satisfied with his basic level of education. This displays that he strived to achieve higher heights, first economically, and then also in education. He also displayed good optimism. As mentioned before, Faraday grew up from a poor family and received only basic education from Sunday school. That fact would discourage a lot of people from trying to become a scientist, but not Faraday. Despite those facts, he still believed in himself that he could become a scientist, and he took action accordingly. Not only doing the things mentioned before, but he also sent a letter to Davy requesting to be an assistant to learn further. He also suffered from nervous breakdowns, but that did not stop him from trying to achieve his dream. Lastly is transparency. Transparency is maintaining integrity with one's values. Faraday himself was a devout Sandemanian. Sandemanian is a sect in the religion of Christianity. He was very religious, going as far as turning down being given knighthood, which many people would want, claiming that it was against the word of the Bible to accumulate and pursue worldly rewards. Despite him being very religious, he also never let religion get in the way of his scientific work. So what did Faraday achieve so that he can be called a great scientist? Well, firstly, he achieved his goal in becoming a scientist. That is very obvious. But he also discovered electromagnetic induction, which made him very famous. And he also had a unit of electric charge, the farad, named after him by Latimer Clark and Charles Bright. Faraday also displayed amazing self-acceptance. He accepted his uniqueness in that his background isn't common for someone who wants to achieve his dream, and that he is a very curious person. And because of that, he had goals which are aligned with what he is. One critic for Faraday is his mistake when publishing an article about electromagnetism. During his time in researching about electromagnetism, he actually consulted with Humphrey Davy, but during the publishing of the article, Faraday didn't give Davy any credit. This led to Davy accusing Faraday of stealing his idea. And although Davy would later withdraw all charges, this would ruin Davy and Faraday's relationship with each other. This really is not a good display of good self-control. One of the aspects of self-control is setting up a personal standard. I don't think that this is a good standard to follow, as plagiarism is obviously not good, and it is very important to give credit to someone who helped you. So finally, did Faraday display good self-leadership? I think yes, Faraday did display good self-leadership because he displayed amazing self-management. He had a clear goal in mind, which was to become a scientist. He managed himself accordingly, and he also displayed good self-acceptance. And finally, to show for all that, he achieved his goal. This proves that he has great self-management, which in turn says that he is that he displays good self-leadership. These are the references.
Hello, I am Lu Yuan. In my part of Part D, I will discuss how to improve personal understanding ability in real life and share some of my personal experience. Firstly, we should try to understand who we are, and we can learn how to find our strengths and passions after watching the video. I think the video is useful. Because the video is too long, so we just have a brief look. The video provides 5 questions for us to uncovering our strengths. First, what is my initial response to the activity? I think initial response is important to finding our passions. And secondly, does the task provide me with a sense of satisfaction? And then, do I feel good when performing the activity? Then, which activities have I been able to grasp quickly? When I wake up in the morning, which activities am I most excited about for the day? And in addition to this way, we can also use feedback analysis to judge our strengths. What does this theory mean? This theory is designed by Dr. Peter Drucker. According to him, most people think they know what they are good at, and they are usually wrong. More often, people know what they are not good at, and even then more people are wrong than right. What does it mean? His meaning is that we can, whenever you are willing to identify where your strengths are, you can write down what you expect to happen and set a reminder for 9 to 12 months in the future. Finally, you can review the decision and compare your decision with the actual outcome. And then I will share some of my personal experience, how I apply feedback analysis to find my strengths. Actually, it's my weakness. In the past, I applied this way on myself. First, I decided to play the piano and make some predictions. And then I focused on practicing it for 5 months. When finally I compare the actual outcome with my former predictions, and I got the conclusion that playing the piano is not my strength, but my weakness. Then, after identifying our strengths, we should strengthen it. On the one hand, we should maintain the curiosity nurtured from childhood. On the other hand, we also need artificially cultivated creativity. According to Dr. Stephen, curiosity is a critical ingredient to the future breakthroughs society needs. And by finding our advantages and gifts, we can understand ourselves better.
My name is James, and I will talk about the second way that we can apply in our daily life, which is self-management. It basically means abilities that allow people to control their thoughts, feelings, and actions. It will maximize your productivity, improve your workplace performance, and efficiently achieve professional goals. And it also can increase your employability and better manage your career path. I will talk about 2 specific aspects here. The first one is time management. Manage your calendar, and the habits set alarm is very important. It will lighten your mental load because you don't need to spend lots of time to memorizing what you should do uh, in your life. And it will help you get a picture of your current workload through writing down all the events you should do on your calendar. It also clarifies which tasks you may need to work into your schedule. Therefore, you will never forget for any important events. Currently, lots of students get up very late and they do not attend class on time. That is because they don't have a good manage of their calendar. They may sleep very late. And the set short and long-term goals are also very important. We can write down our short and long-term goals in our calendar, and thus we can have a plan of how to achieving those goals. It requires being aware of how you spend your time. And for example, when your friends invite you to go out to party the night before a big test, if you have the goals that you want to get an A in this test, you won't choose to play with them. The second specific part is stress management. You can manage your stress well through exercise. Research shows physical activity can help improve your sleep and then get better deep slow wave sleep. Through deep slow wave sleep, our body will generate some useful substance and nutrients in our body. And exercise also seems to help mood. Through exercise, hormones like endorphins and endocannabinoids that help blood clean improve sleep. So exercise is a very important activity to manage our stress. Also, we can through health diet to manage our stress. Build up your immune system, level your mood, and lower your body pressure. It's the role of healthy diet. And the scientists show some nutrients that seem to help lessen the effects of stress on the body and the mind. For example, vitamin C, magnesium, and omega-3 fatty acids. Although we have lots of another events to manage our stress, to release our pressure. For example, we can play some games and go shopping with our friends and listen to some music when we have lots of pressure. But I think exercise and the diet are the two significant to in managing our stress. So that's the reference of part 4. That's all our presentation. Thanks a lot.